SBI Mutual Fund, Nippon Mutual Fund, PGIM, L&T, HSBC, Aditya Birla, Tata Mutual Fund, Quant and Motilal Oswal. Do you know what is common among these mutual fund houses? All these fund houses own one small cap textile stock. Not only these Indian mutual funds, even Goldman Sachs India Equity has shareholding in this textile stock. Do you know which stock is that? Company name is Gokaldas Export. A small cap textile company that has a client base including the likes of Adidas, Gap, Puma, H&M, Marks & Spencer, Walmart and so on. And currently it commands a market cap of around 2,500 crore. Hey everyone, my name is Sahil and this is my Personal Finance Academy. Welcome to the 7th episode of this next multibagger series. In this video, we are going to discuss the fundamentals of a small cap textile company, Gokaldas Export, where I am very bullish. And not just me, even majority of top mutual fund house are also bullish on. Now what is so special about this company? So as usual, we'll dig deep to understand the business model, future growth prospects, leadership, financials, and of course key risk. Needless to say, this video is only for educational purpose for long-term investors. Alright, let's get started. Gokaldas Export was established in 1978. So it's been more than 40 plus years old business. It is one of the largest apparel manufacturer and exporter in India. But the journey of Gokaldas Export has been full of ups and downs. Basically, its original promoters were Hinduja brothers who established the companies in 70s and later took it to public in 2005. However, between 2007 to 9, they sold around 68% stake to Blackstone PE firm. And then we saw US housing bubble burst and global recession. During that time, Gokaldas Export suffered huge losses and could not revive its business. As a result, its share price tanked more than 90% between 2006 to 20. Later in FY 17-18, one of the director of Blackstone PE, Mr. Matthew Sarek, brought controlling stake from Blackstone under the name Clearwealth Consultancy Limited and changed the leadership of the company. They bought Mr. Sivaramakrishna Ganpati as MD and Vice Chairman. And then Gokaldas Export started turning around. Mr. Siva had 30 plus years of experience where he worked with Aditya Birla Group for more than 2 decades, and he also holds master degree in management from IIM Bangalore and bachelor degree in mechanical engineering from NIT. Under his leadership, the new management has taken some important calls to turn around the company. For example, they shifted their focus from low margin domestic apparel orders to high margin exports. They also improved their operational efficiency by hiring industrial engineers and newer IT solution. And this was clearly visible in company's margin. At one point, company's margin were in negative of 6%, 5%, then 4%, 2, 3, -3, -2%, and then after Mr. Ganpati took over the command in 2019, Gokaldas operating margins improved to 5%, then improved to 6, then 8, then 11, and now at 12%. As a result, its operating profits also improved drastically from loss of 32 crore, then loss of 23 crore to profit of 62 crore in FY19, then 86, 101, 206, and now at 271 crore. What an exceptional turnaround. Even if you look at its revenues, it has grown from 1000 crore to 1100, then 1300. It did slightly fell during COVID, but again recovered to 1790 and latest at 2222 crore. In terms of net profit, it was in huge losses of 132 crore, 109 crore, 47, 31 and then became profitable from 2019. Net profit jumped from 26 crore to 30 crore, then 117 crore and now at 173 crore. Company's borrowing went down from 472 crore to current levels of 154 crore. And today, its debt to equity is just 0.17. As far as profitability is concerned, its ROCE also drastically improved from -1%, 1% to current levels of 23%. Its inventory days have also reduced from 183 days to currently at 91 days. Cash conversion cycle has also drastically improved from 174 days to currently at 87 days. As far as cash from operation is concerned, look at the way company has started to generate cash. From 12 crore to 25, then 51, 99, 119, 117 and latest at 369 crore. This turnaround was even reflected in share price where after more than 90% fall between 2006 to 20, the stock zoomed 15 times from levels of 30 rupee to 450 rupee. Although since last 1 year, the stock has been consolidating. And that is the reason I always say that leadership plays the most important role in shaping the future of a company. That's what Mr. Ganpati has done for Gokaldas Export. Now that we have got a good idea about the turnaround story, let us try to understand the business of the company. So Gokaldas Export is basically an apparel manufacturer where it exports the apparel to world's most prestigious brands and retailers in more than 50 countries, including brands like Gap, H&M, Adidas, Puma, Nike, Macy's, Diesel, Guess, Superdry, Forever 21, Walmart, and the list goes on. In terms of geography, North America is the largest contributor in company's revenue with around 85% contribution in FY22 sale, followed with Asia, Europe, and rest of the world. Today, Gokaldas Export has 20 state-of-art manufacturing units with fully integrated manufacturing operations right from your design, development, cutting, printing, sewing, quilting, polyfill, embroidery, laser treatment, washing, finishing, and logistics. Today, company has nearly 25,000 plus employees and capacity to produce 36 million plus apparels in a year. Now let's look at its future prospects. As far as future growth is concerned, we can break it into two parts, short term and long term. In the short term, since company generates its business from export with North America contributing nearly 85% of sale, there is dependency on North America market. And currently we all know that there is slowdown in North America. But try to understand that if Gokaldas Export is getting an order today, then it is for the demand in 2 quarters down the line. I was going through their con call and Mr. Ganpati clearly acknowledged that currently North America is going through slowdown and they expect the recovery to come in spring 2024. So situation can turn around in US by 2024. And since they have to manufacture the product well in advance, Gokaldas is expecting sharp uptick in revenue by Q3 of FY24. Currently we are in Q1 of FY24. So from here, there are still 2-3 quarters to go. That's for short term. And that's why I was waiting to cover the stock. But since stock market is always forward looking, if I wait till the end moment of recovery, stock would have already jumped. Hence, I already invested in the company. Now in the long term, the biggest trigger would be China plus one, where companies are moving out of China due to expensive and aging labor, rising manufacturing cost, trade barriers like your banning of cotton from specific region, and recent COVID-related supply side bottlenecks. Although Bangladesh and Vietnam are more preferred option today for textile, but the study shows that in Vietnam, the average cost of labor is around $300 a month, whereas in India, it is around $170 to $180. So in terms of labor cost, India still has advantage. Moreover, government is also pushing for textile sector with a PLI scheme of around 10,683 crore, and that is in man-made fiber and technical textile. So basically the big challenge in Indian textile sector is currently that majority of man-made fiber, that is high quality synthetic fiber and other technical textile, comes from countries like your China, Taiwan, South Korea. And there is a huge demand for these technical textile and man-made fiber that India is missing due to lack of proper ecosystem. Just to quantify this information, globally man-made fiber contribution is around 60% of apparel trade. Now man-made fiber is of two types, synthetic and cellulosic. Synthetic fibers are produced from crude oil and cellulosic fibers are from wood pulp. The main varieties of synthetic staple fibers are your polyester, acrylic and polypropylene. Cellulosic fiber is viscose fiber, modal, etc. Textile made out of these synthetic and cellulosic fibers are called man-made fiber, and the natural fiber example is your cotton. The Indian exports are mainly oriented towards cotton-based apparel. So there's a huge gap, and that's where Gokaldas Export can really add value and grow exponentially. Company has already applied for PLI scheme incentives and its application has been accepted. So Gokaldas Export is planning to invest 370 crore rupees between FY22 to 25. Within that, 160 crore is for setting up new capacity, and company is also foraying into knitwear segment. In FY22, company has set up 3 new plants in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Madhya Pradesh. And this investment would eventually result in improved top line and bottom line. Now if you look at the shareholding pattern, while on first look it seems promoters are selling the stake consistently, which is not a good sign. But as mentioned earlier, Gokaldas promoter is Clear Wealth Consultancy Limited that invested in it at worst phase when the share price at very low level, and now that the company has turned around, they are booking profit. The important question here is who is buying from them? And that's where both FIs and DIs are buying Gokaldas Export heavily. For instance, FIs holding in the company has increased from 4.6% to current levels of 17.2%, and DI holding is up from 3.6% to 10%, then 26%, and now at 31.3%. Remaining 40% is still with public. So far we discussed the turnaround story, the future growth, and everything seems great, isn't it? But what are some key risks that you should be aware of? So one big risk is near-term slowdown. As discussed, North America is the largest client of Gokaldas Export, which is struggling with slowdown, and it would impact the growth of Gokaldas in the near term. Now the key risk here is nobody knows the exact impact of the slowdown. Although management has clarified that they are expecting things to turn positive from Q3 and Q4 of FY24, but there are still 2 more quarters to go, and we don't know how bad the situation can turn around in US. So company near-term performance is closely linked with US. If the situation turns bad, it can negatively impact the share price of the company, as 40% stake are with public. That makes Gokaldas volatile. So keep this risk in mind. And second risk is competition risk. Company has a strong competition, especially from Bangladesh and Vietnam, and that can possibly hurt its margins. Going forward, everything will boil down to the execution capability of the company. If it can continue the way it has transformed, there is no looking back. But any fault in execution can negatively impact the business and eventually the share price. Overall, if we conclude, Gokaldas Export is a great turnaround story so far, and under the leadership of Mr. Shiva Ramakrishna Ganpati, company is eyeing growth in the range of 20 to 25% CAGR rate in the near future. Company has all the top fashion apparel clients such as your Gap, H&M, Adidas, Puma, Nike, Macy, Diesel, Guess, Superdry, etc. Yes, in the short term, there is slowdown in the US, but in the long term, there's a secular trend of companies moving away from China and India emerging as preferred alternative that would result in increase in demand. And that's where Gokaldas Export can grow big. Company is also investing heavily in its capability and launching new manufacturing units that will result in further growth of the business. Currently, it is trading at around 400 rupee at a P ratio of 15, which is looking very attractive. So there's a good buying opportunity for this share in the next 2-3 quarters. By next year this time, I expect Gokaldas Export to generate good returns. So this is it for this video. I hope you'll find this video useful. Now tell me in the comments, what do you think about Gokaldas Export? And please don't just buy the stock on the basis of my analysis. Make sure that you do your own research before investing. Also let me know which stocks you want me to cover next. I'll see you next video. Till then, take care.